So I do remember one of the students in the last interviews. Before the interview, he'd keep calling me and saying, "Madam, can I have a minute?" And he wanted to prep with me, and then after a while, again, he'll call again. Now, when I saw that young man during his interview, I teared up. He did so well. I mean, he did so well that one of the panelists, just as he's talking, was already texting a colleague to ask, do you take interns in your organization? Because this young man said he wanted to go into media.
So what's your favorite moment in the classroom?
Favorite moment in a classroom? When they start to, okay, it doesn't happen all the time, but there have been moments when a student will just open up. You're talking about, especially the life skills classes, and somebody just, when the example they choose to give is them, I mean, it makes you sit up and listen. And when I see the empathy from the other classmates, most of our students are Gen Z, and I'll tell you, I mean, that moment becomes very, very special. So it is also the moment when you can tell you're connecting. You can tell they're hearing you. There's that moment as a teacher. There are those times when it's hard ground. You're really trying to, because in Career Launchpad, some of the things we talk about are tough, It's the stuff nobody wants to be told, but you need to hear, and somebody has to say it. But when you begin to see them connect, and you can tell they get it, and then when now they put it in their own words, when you ask for feedback as to what they've learned, I think that's my favorite moment. Yeah.
Do you have a story where a student surprised you or made you proud?
Oh, I have several. I have several, but let me give a recent one. Now, our final exam for Career Launchpad, we do have mock interviews, which enact a real interview scenario. So the students really, really prepare and work towards that. And some of them, they're quite scared because, some have never done an interview before. And as we all know, interviews can be very unnerving. So I do remember one of the students in the last interviews. Before the interview, he'd keep calling me and saying, "Madam, can I have a minute?" And he wanted to prep with me, and then after a while, again, he'll call again. Now, when I saw that young man during his interview, I teared up. He did so well. I mean, he did so well that one of the panelists, just as he's talking, was already texting a colleague to ask, do you take interns in your organization? Because this young man said he wanted to go into media. So she was looking for somebody in media can you take this young man immediately? That moment, I was so proud of him because I knew how hard he had worked, I mean, to be able to pull it off. He came in looking sharp and he was well prepared. He had not only had good documents, but even his answers were so good. And I knew how much it took for him to be that confident on that day. It was a big deal for him. And I loved that I saw the effort, the hard work, and that at the end of the day that he did so well. So yeah, that is one that stood with me. Of course, there have been several. One of the best things I love is when alumni come by. When they come by afterwards and they say, Miss Shiko, what that thing used to tell us in Career Launchpad is the one I found when I went out into the workplace. Currently, I do have some of my former students who are now my colleagues. They work with us, and just hearing their own feedback as to what Career Launchpad did for them are very special moments for me. Oh, let me not forget this. Parents. Oh my goodness. I mean, ever so often there'll be a parent that gives you feedback about their child, the change they have seen. It makes everything worth it. When somebody says, "My son is so motivated, he's on internship, he's doing well," and he keeps quoting Career Launchpad, that is special. That's very special. Yeah.
Wow. What do you think your students remember most after your class?
Okay, so I'm one of the strictest lecturers. I mean, of course, necessarily so. Because my course seeks to bring structure, and as you would notice, most of our students are creatives, so nobody wants to be in a box. But no matter how creative you are, at the end of the day, if you're going to make any money out of it, it's a service. You must create a product, you're creating a service that you will give to somebody else. And that means you must have some soft skills, you know? So I think probably, let me just say, let me quote one of the alumni, or actually some of those who are on internship. One of them said that when they were working somewhere, and because we talk about how they should handle themselves on internship, and he said to me, you know, we were sitting there, they were not giving us any work, and then we remembered Miss Shiko said, lazima tujitume. You know, so we gotta take initiative. And so we told each other, hey, tomorrow we're not gonna let this happen. And that indeed, that when they went the next day, they were volunteering, they were shadowing the other people who maybe have been very, very busy at the workplace, not to be able to give them as much attention. And now they are thriving. The feedback we are hearing is that these young people are doing well where they are currently working. So I think they remember the tough love. I think that's what they remember.
Wow,
yeah.
So I think that trickles down to our next question.
Yeah.
What 3 words do you think your students would use to describe you?
Oh my goodness. For sure, strict. Mm-hmm. They would say I'm strict. I think they would say that I care. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd say they'd say I care. The only reason I say this is because I have several of them who will look for me and want to sit with me and pour their hearts out about whatever they're going through. And that's why I say it's very interesting that they will do that. As I say, mine is tough love. So that they would still want to come to that same person to pour out their hearts. I'd want to say that they would say that I'm caring. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So what is one thing ADMI does better than anywhere else?
I think the psychosocial support, that's one big one. We do have an in-house counselor that's available to the students for free. I think that's big. And also that we do have robust mental health advocacy here. Actually, I was part of the team that set that up. Because, as I said, in Career Launchpad, we talk about life skills, and sometimes we'll talk about matters mental health, but our classroom may not be enough for us to go in depth in this. And so we have been having very robust, timely platforms for mental health advocacy. And I would say that is big. That is big. I mean, ADMI will hold your hand if you let us. Yeah, that we do for our students. I think that's one main thing. I think the other thing is that the lecturers you'll find here, most of them are industry practitioners. So this is not, they may not be, how will I put this? So whatever they're teaching in the class, it's something that's currently relevant because they are in the industry and are currently doing it. I have 2 of my female colleagues who are actually been nominated for the Women in Film Awards, and they are also available to the students in the classroom. So I think that's also unique for ADMI, that the person teaching you also is practicing what they're talking to you about. You may miss out on the 100 other things you don't know. So humility is important. Humility, though, is not timidity. We're not saying be timid and don't give your views. No, in fact, we train the opposite. But I want you to stay humble. Humble enough to keep learning, humble enough to be accountable, humble enough to say I'm sorry when you're wrong, humble enough to say I don't know when you don't, and humble enough to be confident enough to say I'm also good at this, I can share this with you, I can do this. And finally, I like to tell them to stay hopeful.